G'day guys, thought I'd do a video of my updates and upgrades on my 2022 Tenere 700. When I was designing my bike, these sort of videos were really valuable. I actually found a lot of information in them that helped me a lot. So fingers crossed there's something here that helps you out, and yeah, let's get to the bike. Rightio, so here is my 2022 T7. Still very new. I think it's only got about 200 kilometers on it at the moment. Hasn't seen any dirt, as you can tell, so hopefully very soon it'll be time to take it off-road and start putting it through its paces. But starting with the mods, around the front, obviously not the standard tyres. So I've gone with the MOTO's Rally Z Tractioner tyres. The reviews on these things are fantastic, and I needed something a lot more dirt oriented, so I've got faith that they will do the job, no problems. Around the front, headlight protection was necessary, so I just went with the Yamaha headlight protector. A bit big and clunky looking, but you know, it's going to do the job, no problems at all. And then up the top, without trying to sound cliche, but I think every YouTube clip you read, or you watch, it identifies these as a necessity, and I have to agree. Being 6'1", I did get a lot of buffeting when the screen was in the low position. But just moving it up that little bit further makes a big difference. So I'd highly recommend that being one of your first mods, and it's relatively inexpensive as well. There's lots of cheap options for screen sliders if you do a bit of research. And then obviously I've gone the BARKBUSTERS. Now the standard handguards are totally fine if you're just going to do road riding, a bit of light dirt work, but if you're going to be dropping the bike, they're just too flimsy, they don't hold up. So you need to get something with either a really strong plastic frame behind it, or the aluminium frame that comes with the BARKBUSTERS has stood the test of time. I've had them on every bike I've owned, so I've got a lot of faith in those. Now, probably the only thing I put on purely for cosmetics are the LED indicators. They're really strong. There's nothing wrong with the standards. I just really didn't like the look of them, so I've gone the LEDs. They're a lot more streamlined, so just pop them on there. And down the front, another mod, because of the off-road riding I'm going to be doing, I needed to have some better radiator protection than what was on there. So I've gone the Yamaha radiator grille for the front. Now you would have noticed, obviously, I've got the stickers on the front forks. So MPE suspension. Now they're on the Sunshine Coast. Paul down there runs the shop, and I cannot speak highly enough for these guys. The customer service was fantastic. Paul's feedback and the amount of time he spent communicating with me both via email and when I got to the shop, I was really impressed. So he's come up with a product for me based on my riding style, the terrain I'm going to be riding, and I'd highly recommend checking them out if you're in Southeast Queensland and looking for a suspension upgrade. Then coming back, so this is one of the two biggest deliberations when it came to modifications for this bike. The crash bars. Now everybody's got an opinion on crash bars, and half the people write that the ones they use are flimsy and useless, and the other half of people say they're great. So seems to be a bit of a personal opinion. I originally wanted to get the Outback Motortech, that more box style crash guards for the front. They're the ones that Paul Terres uses, I believe. So I had a lot of faith they'd be great, but number one, they weren't in stock. And then once I started doing research on these, which are the Yamaha crash bars, I actually couldn't find too much to fault with them. Most people seemed really positive about their protection, and so I've gone with them, and I have to say at this stage, they really appear to be very well made, very solid. They've got 3 mount points, so I actually have a lot of faith that they're going to do a good job. Now down here, this is one of my favorite mods. This is the SRC bash plate. So 4mm aluminium, really strong, really well made. The fitment's great. If you have a look down the back, it's got the linkage protection as well, which I thought was really necessary if you're going to be doing any serious off-roading. And I'll just take you around the other side as well, because you can see it's got, around the front of the engine too, it's got quite a good amount of protection there. Looks trick, really well made. So yeah, SRC bash plate, I'd say if you haven't got one, just jump online and check it out. They're really quite affordable. I was very impressed. Down the bottom here, one of the cheaper mods. Most people end up swapping out the standard foot pegs. So I've just gone the WR foot pegs. Didn't want anything too flashy. I just wanted something that was going to be a bit more aggressive, a bit wider on the foot. So they should do the job, no problems at all. Now at the top, you may have noticed by now that I don't have the standard seat. So number one, you'll see the profile of the bike. I've gone the rally seat. So the profile of the bike is a lot flatter from the tank through to the back of the bike. And that's really what I was looking to achieve, because with the dirt riding I'm wanting to do and the single trail, I want to be able to transition through the bike a lot easier and have a nice, a lot flatter cockpit. So pretty impressed with it. It's quite firm. I do think over time it's going to soften, and that's probably the point where I'll enjoy sitting on it, you know, just that bit more, because at the moment it's still quite firm. And one thing I will mention, just underneath here, if you hadn't considered it, have a think about getting the UniFilter pre-filter. It's really quite cheap, and basically it's just a second air filter that slides over the front of the snorkel into the airbox, and just gives you that peace of mind. Or if you're going to go on a 2 or 3 day ride through sandy sandy, dusty trails, you can whip the pre-filter off and basically have an untouched, your standard filter sitting in there, ready to take up the rest of the ride. So I think that's a really, really good mod. Now onto, I suppose, the picture piece of the whole bike, being the exhaust. So it's really the thing that stands out the most, given that the standard bike comes with the underslung exhaust that sort of sits down here off this bracket. Now I actually prefer visually the look of that. I think the Acra pipes look fantastic. I think the HP CORSE titanium pipe with the dual tips, when it's mounted down the bottom here, I think it looks really great as well. However, with the style of riding I'm going to be doing, and knowing I'm going to drop the bike, the number of YouTube clips and Google search results that come up with this bracket here, bending in, basically ending up either wrecking the pipe or wrecking the swing arm, because it rubs on the swing arm. So that's a really well documented fault in the design of this bike. So what I've done is I've gone and got the HP CORSE high exhaust. It is really well made. The fitment was easy. It was easy as anything to put on. And as you'll see, it sits inside the pillion passenger foot peg bracket, and then inside the original exhaust mount. So it's tucked right in, comes up the top here, more like your standard dirt bike style exhaust, which sort of created a problem that I knew I was going to face. It ended up being an easy fix, really. So before I go into that, I'll just mention I've got the B&B Tidy Tail. I really like B&B as a product and as a company. They're Australian, and I would have actually even gone the B&B bash plate had they been in production with the 2022 bash plate at that point. But check B&B out. They're a really great product. They're very, very, very strong products, and Australian made, which is great. So you'll see where it comes out here. This is where the indicator should be on both sides, but obviously I've got the pipe sort of impeding it. So all I really did, it was really quite a simple fix, because I just made this U-bracket up here, screwed it into the tidy tail. It clears the tire. I've done all the checks, just low enough so that the exhaust doesn't melt the indicator. Can tell, it does look a little bit unusual, I suppose, having the indicators mounted halfway down the license plate, but you know, that's I'm not too worried about that. It's gonna do the job. No worries at all there. So really the last sort of couple of things to mention. Now, for the life of me, I can't find out or remember where I got this rear rack from. As you'll see, it's quite compact. I didn't want anything too big. I didn't want something that had a big rail through here, because what I'm going to purchase very shortly is the Krieger OS 36 rackless pannier system. Now, for those of you who don't know what that is, it's basically you get this mat that comes over here, it's the base, and then you've got these bags that sit on top of that. So you don't need to have your big racks out the side. I don't want that sort of thing. The other benefit too is that the bags sit quite far forward, so the weight's not going to be right out over the rear wheel, which obviously can create some problems with your rear suspension performance. So, but what I didn't want is I couldn't have had, with that base, I couldn't have had a really big, bulky sort of a rack system here. And the last thing I'll mention is, you might have noticed I've got a clear vinyl sticker kit here. So basically I've got a sticker kit without the stickers. I just got the vinyl. Reason being that once you've got that base on there for the Krieger kit and the bag on top, there is going to be some rub. And if it's just on the plastic, you'll end up with some scratches and that on your plastics there. But in a nutshell, guys, that's my bike. What I'm hoping is that someone saw something there that might have sparked some interest or an idea that you hadn't thought of. If you've got any questions, just chuck them in the comments below, and I'm happy to answer that and help out in any way possible. Because as I said, I've found a lot of benefit from these sorts of videos, and the purpose was to hopefully help you guys out as well. So ride safe, and yeah, cheers.